We are live. Hey, this is Sean, Federal Prison Talk, and I got a great guest today, RDAP Dan. You're also on RDAP Dan's channel. We are combining them thanks to Dan and technology. And I put my title on this video, Why I Started My YouTube channel. And here's the man right here. I wanted to follow in his path. I wanted what he had. You ever heard that in recovery? You know,
what's going on, Sean? Thanks for having me on, my man.
Yeah. Say hello. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and a little bit of that.
Sure. For those of you who don't know, Federal Prison Time Consulting. I work with people in pretty much the pre-phase of everything, kind of going in the pre-sentencing mitigation, getting your mindset, personal narratives, character reference letters, speaking to your attorney, preparing you for things like RDAP, First Step Act, Second Chance, and really just kind of helping you get everything, checking all the boxes is kind of what we do. And there actually, if you're going through something right now and you're curious on how we might be able to help you, we do have a free consultation, which there's a link in the description of all the channels. And I also just posted it into the live chat there. So feel free.
Thank you, Dan. And I'm going to tell you, I've known Dan over 10 years. We think it might have been 11, but this man helped me when I was indicted, scared, facing prison time, not knowing anything about it. He had a YouTube channel. So did other people. But this man answered the phone. This man helped me. And I was a mess. He can tell you that. But we've been friends. He helped me through pretrial. He helped me through prison. He wrote me letters. We talked, we emailed. You remember all those letters, Dan? I had some bad times. He even did I think he did a little podcast about me because I called out a shot caller kind of thing. Yeah. Had no clue who he was. And anyways, through federal probation, I've been off. Almost 4 years off federal probation. So it's been a long time coming, Dan. And you didn't save my life, but you believed in me enough to let me believe in me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, people are at different phases. They're different journeys at different phases. And we've got our ups and downs, good days and bad days. And I think the problem is sometimes people tend to really kind of dwell on the negativity, and they don't realize how much time they're spending in this negative headspace that doesn't do us any good. You're not being productive. You're not getting anything done. And you don't really even realize how long you're sitting in that space. So working with people like you and other individuals that are in similar situations, it's not about, smacking you on the hands when you make a mistake. It's about reminding you of what your goal is, what your intent is, and how is this behavior, this negative self-talk, how is it being constructive towards the positive outcomes that you're looking for, whether it be pre-sentencing, if you're trying to get the best possible sentence, whether it be trying to get into RDAP, whether it be trying to get early halfway house. And then it's also preparing yourself for not everything is going to work the way you planned, but if you know that you've put every foot forward, you've done your homework, whether you're serving a shorter sentence or a longer sentence, you're going to be content with that because you're going to know you've done everything that you can do.
And Dan, did you start this business off as a professional, as an angel, as like no criminal history?
Are you talking about when you mean when I started everything from the beginning?
When you started everything because I met you when you just got released. And you have grown, you have evolved, and you have become an honest man that I can count on.
Oh, you must be talking about my fancy microphone. Yeah. So if you go back to my early videos, like my, I don't know, first or second video, you'll see there was an actual video posted prior to me going to federal prison. It was about 3 days before my self-surrender. So I self-surrendered, September 23rd? So like September 20th. I posted a video of 2014, September 20th, posted a video that I'm going to federal prison for 42 months and I don't know what to expect. And like Sean and many others, I was pretty terrified. I didn't really know much about prison other than what I've seen on TV and, Shawshank Redemption, the TV show Oz, Locked Up Abroad, pretty much scared the life into me or the life out of me, making me think prison was going to be like all of these horrible tragedy stories, rape, extortion, you name it. So I've obviously went to prison and it was nothing like that. It can be like that if you go to the mediums, the penitentiaries, supermaxes, but camps and lows, you don't typically run into that type of situations unless you really get yourself in a jam like Sean almost did at a camp, may I add. But and Sean can tell you that story in a second. But Coming home from prison after everything, RDAP, halfway house, serving a 13-month sentence out of 42 months, I felt like it was a gift from the gods. And checking my email for the very first time on a very janky computer in the federal halfway house, I kept seeing YouTube comment, YouTube comment, YouTube comment, and forgot I even made that video. A lot of videos from people that were in similar situations, maybe not the same situation, as my case, but similar in the mindset of they've never really been in a lot of trouble before. This might be their first prison experience. They don't know what to expect. So being the show hog that I am, liking to be on camera, I decided to start making response videos. And before I knew it, it kind of grew legs on its own, because people were really craving this content. And craving this content, there wasn't a lot of people out there. There were some other consultants like Justin and Michael, and they were putting out valuable content, but my content was a little bit more designed for like just what you're going through, what you could be doing right now. And criminal defense attorneys started reaching out pretty much almost instantly. And it, from just sharing my journey to going into a full-blown, career path, within about a year and a half, it took on a full-time position for me, and I haven't looked back. I've been blessed every day since.
Yeah, and that's the short version, guys. And if you are facing prison time, or you got a target letter, you got indicted, your house got raided, your office got raided, you're scared, something's happening. It's the federal government, guys. Yeah, it's all real now, and that's kind of hard to believe sometimes for us, Dan, huh? Especially before you get indicted,
Well, prison's not just for criminals, even though you're going to be labeled a criminal. I say it all the time. Really good people make mistakes and end up serving prison for it. And a lot of times with federal laws, you could be doing something today, and a year from now, it becomes a federal violation or becomes a criminal activity, and they can date back and go back and get you on something that was completely legal when you were doing it. But with that said, holding people accountable to their situations that they put themselves in, usually at least the majority of my clients, I can speak on behalf of the most of my clients, when we really kind of analyze where they're at and start asking, what could you have done differently, knowing what you know now? The red flags were there. We just become very complacent in our day-to-day activities and our lifestyles, and the things that we think we need and want, and power, orientation, money, all of these things, desire, it becomes all possessing, kind of takes over. Before you know it, you're doing stuff that you never thought you would do. And next thing you know, you're sitting in a federal prison cubicle eating ramen soup, wondering how the fuck you got there.
Yeah. And most people that go to prison, at least federal prison, even state prison, look like me and Dan. Yeah, there's the tat back guys in the penitentiary, but that's not most inmates. They look like me and you. So if you're watching this because you see me and Dan look like normal people, and we're talking about prison because that's kind of what drawed me in, there's lots of channels out there, Thugs Are Us, and, how to rob a bank better, how to make a better, I can't say keywords that'll set off this video, but how to do better crimes. Yeah, you can go watch those channels. Forever, how long they're going to be on. But if you see two guys like us talking, you're probably going to tune in like I did, and you'll start listening, and maybe there's some help, maybe there's an answer. I'm not saying I'm the answer, I'm not saying Dan's the answer, but it's a start, guys. It's a start, guys. So I don't know how many subscribers you have that are doing time right now. I would say half of my subscribers are probably waiting to get out.
Yeah, I would say all my subscribers, at least 90% of them, they may not be doing time at this moment, but they've either done time, doing time, or going to be doing time. But to piggyback on what Sean just said real quick, talking about some of these other channels that give you maybe better insight on how to how to be a better criminal, I will tell you, if you could focus on consequences, like take a consequence of, I'm going to spit this gum out on the street, and my worst case consequence is probably nothing. Maybe somebody steps on it. Maybe a cop sees me, says, pick it up. If you're okay with the consequences, then keep doing what you're doing. If you're watching channels that are teaching you how to be a better criminal, and you're able to play that tape forward and say, this could land me in prison, but the consequences are worth it, who am I to tell you not to do what you want to do? But if those consequences are not desirable and you don't want to be taken away from your family and you don't want to be stripped of your freedom, embarrassment, all of these things, then, that's why you see a lot of criminals turning on each other, proffering, taking plea deals, 5K1s, all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most people will say they don't do it or they don't condone it. But in the federal prison system, from the camps to the pens, it's full of people that have gotten departed sentences from taking plea deals, cooperation, because at the end of the day, they're not willing to really do the time. So you just have to know what you're really willing to put yourself through and be real.
That's true. Oh, by the way, Dan, correction on the title of that one movie. That's Shawshank Redemption. Thank you.
Shawshank Redemption. I'll let Hollywood know they got it wrong, Sean.
Yeah, tell Morgan Freeman, but
Right.
I say that because I did really find my redemption in there. That movie ran through my head. Oh, the first 3 months, every prison movie ran through my head until I self-surrendered. And when I did self-surrender, it was nothing that I thought it was going to be. Prison camps are high school campuses. Maybe there's some bullies. It's a bad high school in a bad part of town, but it's there's no locked doors, right? No more locked doors in prison camps, right? We used to say no more locked doors, right? Did you? Oh, you're in a low. You're in a low, so your door did lock. Ours did not lock.
Yeah, I was in a low. It was open most of the time. Even when we were like on controlled movements, they still pretty much kept them unlocked. But my go-to movie was Prison Break. When I got to prison, I was looking for the guy with the tattoo of the schematics and the map on his back on how to properly break out of prison. I think everybody going through the prison system or getting ready to go in kind of goes on dwelling deep dives of watching. Like there's just a fascination with the prison concept once you know where you're going, because you're trying to research everything you can about what's about to happen. The problem is there's not a whole lot of movies that minus Orange is the New Black, which is a little, off the beaten path. But for the most part, there's not a lot of movies that are along the lines of what a camp or a low individual is going to go to. Even the movie like Get Hard, where Kevin Hart's prepping Will Ferrell to go to prison. And really, we all know Will Ferrell's going to go to a prison camp for the crime, but still, you got Kevin Hart teaching him how to like fight and get prepared and how to give a mean mugging face. Even that probably scares people a little bit getting ready to go to prison, because that's what you're absorbing. But prison, for me, Sean has his statements. For me, prison was a very overwhelmingly positive experience.
Here's my experience, guys. This is what I did on the first day. I found the biggest guy in the yard or the track I found the biggest guy. Actually, there was 4 different ones. Shot callers. I walked up to every single one of them. I walked up to him and I told him my best jokes. And a true story. Swear to God, it worked.
I think if we all look for what our claim to fame was in prison, I shouldn't say it was a mistake, but it was probably not the wise. I don't advise other people to do it, but showing up to prison, I actually bought a Halloween costume.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Tell them.
I bought it.
Oh, wow.
I bought a Halloween costume from Party City because I was, surrendering the end of September. It was a black and white pinstripe Halloween costume. We've got pictures of it if you guys want to see it. But I wore that in the day I self-surrendered, and staff was pretty confused. The perimeter truck that goes around the prison making sure no packages or no links or holes in the fence pulled up to me and asked me if he could help me. And I said, yeah, I'm here to self-surrender. And he's just looking me up and down. He says, you're going to go in there like that. And at this point, messed up on Molly and drinking the night before, which I'd never done Molly in my life until that night before. I was not in a clear state of mind, and I was just like, yep. And I went in. The COs didn't think it was funny. They pretty much ripped the clothes off me, drug tested me. They put me kind of in this special area for a couple of days to make sure I wasn't crazy. But ultimately, it circulated through the prison, not just through the staff, but also other inmates. And I became like, were you the guy that wore the prison costume in? And kind of immediately gave me this weird level of notoriety where I kind of just got in with everybody immediately, from Mexicans to blacks to you name it. I was pretty much welcome throughout the prison yard.
I remember that story, Dan, and you actually walked in there like that.
Yeah.
Dan, did you ever get a call from Lifetime or Netflix because they were going to do a series on prison camps? and they wanted to do a story on persons on pretrial going to the federal camp, and then after I did a what do you call it, screenplay interview and all that. Did you get that far with them? Because they told me they contacted you.
Yeah, I turned it down ultimately because what they were looking for was, obviously they want to dramatize it. And if you've watched anything like 60 Days In, I was set to go for 60 Days In. I'd actually gotten like a $30,000 check that I ended up giving back for 60 Days In, because if you watch any of these shows that are about that, obviously, and you can't blame the showrunners. The showrunner's goal is not to really help the individual. It's to create revenue, create views, and create watch time and all that, like just like anybody. So looking through it and watching the final products, the way they edit it, they really make a lot of drama out of it. And I just felt like it wasn't in the best interest of any of my clients to be focusing on that, when really their primary focus should be on, like, what are they going to do to get in and out? What type of mentality are they going to have going in there, knowing that they're, some kind of a star? It just feels like that could create, like, look at anybody that's in there that's got notoriety. They get a target on them. They can't write letters home without being, scrutinized. So ultimately, I've turned down all of those. I've pitched a couple of ideas that I've wanted to do, but we've done some that just never fully got produced. But at the end of the day, it's for some people, but my clients, I don't think would benefit from that.
Well, the producer told me they wanted to. Hollywood never does anything about prison camps, and they wanted to actually be the first to do that. They wanted a real story, and they were going to find 10 people, and they were going to have me narrate a few other episodes. And they said to be honest and truthful. I don't know, but they weren't looking for doing investigative journalism. They just wanted the real story. But they couldn't get cameras into the federal facilities just to get some clips to start the documentary series. So it's on hold right now. It's been on hold for 2 years.
Yeah, the clients that I brought them, they wanted, the clients that were interested in it, their feedback was, do you have somebody prettier? Do you have somebody more, like, they really wanted the person with the personality that was going to captivate audiences. So that was just a turnoff for me, because I was like, I've got clients that could, really help other people. Like, for me, if the show's intent was to help people going into a prison camp, absolutely. But if it's to glorify prison wives and, really another pretty face and blonde eyes, blue hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, all of that, I just didn't see how that was going to help the average person going in, because they wouldn't be able to relate.
Right. I had never heard that side of it. But it's all on hold now. And I could never do the 60 Days In. Like, even the date, that would scare the hell out of me, because I mean, how much money do you pay? But no,
yeah, it was like 75 grand. They paid 30 up front. I was all like, I had to do a psych eval. It was a process, but then I should have taken the time to really, if you watch any of the 60 Days In, at the end of every season, they kind of have, I forgot what it's called, where they get everybody together, and all of the editing was so designed for, like, the drama that you see on that show. It's not real. I mean, I've been to county jail. I spent, several months in county jail, and it's not the best place in the world, but unless you're in there with, like, unless you're a sex offender or, you've got some kind of a heinous crime attached to you, it really is not that much different than prison itself, minus you don't have rec time. The food's not as good, but as far as communication and getting along with others, that part would have been no problem. It was, is this going to benefit me, my business, and my clients? Because they're looking for, again, they're after the drama. So they're encouraging you to go in there and almost put yourself into situations to pop off the drama. And that would be great for views. But again, the clients that we're helping, first-time, nonviolent, white-collar individuals, most of them never set foot in a county jail. And if they do, it's for a couple of days, and then they're waiting on pretrial, and then their experience is in a federal prison camp or a low security. So again, to me, those shows are going to install fear into somebody that's unnecessarily needed.
And I say all that to make people out there realize that there is no movie about a low facility or a federal prison camp that Correct. I can think of that's going to be more than me, Dan, and our guests that come on our shows. I mean, we tell it like it is. I try not to sugarcoat anything. I don't try.
It really wouldn't be that interesting, Sean. That's the problem. That's why I think a show is gonna have a problem, because really, like, what goes on in the camp? You're walking the track. Sure, there's some funny moments, telling some jokes, stuff with your buddies, but it's not drama packed. We are starting a prison drama series different than anybody else has done. It's a podcast series where we have actors. It's got sound overs, music. It's actually going to be scripted. There's going to be scenes, and it's going to be very much surrounding. Some of it will be made up, but it's going to be made up to the point of what really happens in a federal prison camp. Like when you walk into prison and your first conversation with somebody, and you know the things that you talk about at night, and the laughing, and but creating like episodes of actual acting versus prison stories. It's going to be acted out with scenes, and maybe you'll be a part of that, Sean. I don't know, but yeah, we have a few people lined up right now. We've got a couple episodes. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a podcast. It's going to be audio only, because I don't have a budget for video production on that, but I do have the budget for the audio. But it's going to be
White Productions. I thought you had 3 locations on studios all over the world.
Yeah, those are video podcast studios. I'm talking about to do we don't have access to prisons to go record this stuff, but that will give people a real insight as to what goes on in a camp. You know, because I have such memorable memories from the camp too. I have some very good friends that have passed away, not due to anything. It's just these people that have passed away after prison became very dear friends. And one of them got cancer, and one of them just died of a heart attack. You know, it's just. And with the stories, the stuff that we talked about at night, the belly gut laughing till you're fucking crying, the pranks.
Yes, you can laugh in prison, guys.
Yeah, you can laugh, you can cry, you can give your brother a hug when you're consoling him. You know, it's not what you see on TV.
Nothing like it. And I have about 7 close friends. We all did 2 to 5 years together at Florence Federal Prison Camp. They all live here in Albuquerque. There was a couple that live in other states. 2 of them came by last night. We were doing karaoke in my living room. Hugo and Larry, and these guys we've been out 5 years. 5 of us live here in Albuquerque, and we're the best of friends. We, contact each other all week long. 5 years out of prison. I've never heard that before until Dan, you have 5 buddies that you talk with all the time and see in person?
Not in person, because obviously where I did my time versus living now over like on the West Coast of the world versus the East Coast, there's not a lot of people out here that most people, when you usually go to federal prison, unless it's something strange, you're usually going somewhere within 500 miles of your your release address or whatever. I'm 3,500 miles away from where I did my time. So yeah, there's nobody out here, but I do communicate a lot. I'm actually going to have a couple of guys that I did some time with on the channel, and I try to bring guys on that continued a positive mindset lifestyle, just to showcase, prison doesn't have to define you. Your past moments don't have to define where you're going to go. As a matter of fact, like Sean said, prison gave him life. I have a lot of people, doctors, attorneys, accountants, pharmacists, CEOs, executives, that when they go to prison or getting ready to go to prison, they think their career paths are over because they can no longer conduct business in those fields. And they automatically go to this horrible mindset, like, oh my God, I'm going to be flipping burgers or cutting grass. Not that there's anything wrong with that, those of you out there that are doing that. But for somebody that's never done it, they think life is over. But what they forget is no doctor becomes a doctor by accident. I don't care if you got a family with money. You took the time to go to school. You dedicated your mindset to an objective to overcome it. So if you've done that before, you'll be able to apply that same mastermind to probably anything. So most of the clients I have that come home from prison are equally as successful or more so, and not just financially, but their view on life is a little more grounded and objective, to where you can actually become a much better version of who you were if you really let this process work through you.
Here's where I got to do this pitch for Dan, because going to prison I call it a gift. It's a reset. It's free. People pay thousands of dollars to go to fat farms and put the world on hold. You get to do it for free. And I got I'm going to pull this picture down, guys. All these guys are professionals. Well, I'll pull it up later. Doctors, lawyers, land developers, two CPAs, they've all got their licenses back. They're all practicing. They put in a lot of hard work, but I want to tell you, it's not all gone. You'll get it back, but you got to work twice as hard. Guess what happens? You become a better man. And when you become that better man, you're going to be a better doctor, a better dentist, a better lawyer, a better real estate developer, all that. Do I recommend going to federal prison instead of a fat form? No. But the crime that you did, I do recommend it. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But life can get way better after prison when you put in the work.
Absolutely.
If you let Dan coach you, me coach you, just give me a call. But Dan, you want to talk to us for 15 minutes? It's free, and we'll tell you. Dan, like you still have a chance to life.
Say that again.
I said if they give us a call, I know Dan will do a free 15-minute consultation with you.
Yep. Yeah, we do.
I'll help you keep those dreams alive that you haven't lost everything. You know, and I have the proof.
The purpose of the free consultation is one, you know, everybody, look, it's not, we can't help everybody. And it's not just about shortening your sentence. People that hire us, if you ask somebody that's calling us for the very first time and you ask them, well, what are you hoping to get out of this? You know, a shorter sentence, get back to their family, not go to prison at all. You know, they have, I would say, the expectations that everybody has. You ask somebody 90 days, 120 days in, what they're getting from this. And sure, they still want the time off. They still want the best sentence. But what they'll tell you is they're sleeping better at night. They're communicating with their family better at night. Because part of the process that we work with people is not just sentencing mitigation. It's mindset coaching. I encourage people to, if you call me up, and it's similar to RDAP. You know, phase 1 of RDAP, you're kind of expected to make a fool of yourself. You're expected to make many mistakes. You're expected to have an awfulizing mindset. You're expected to do these things because that's what you've been doing, probably why you're going to prison. But as you get to phase 2 and phase 3 of RDAP, you're expected to be doing better and better by each phase. Never perfect, but doing better. Understanding the consequences of your actions, understanding how your current mood is affecting those around you or your animals around you. So very similar to that process with people that are hiring us. I know they want to get a shorter sentence. Everybody knows that. The judge knows that. Your attorney knows that. The prosecutor knows that. Your fucking goldfish knows that. But what you end up getting through this process is when you're having your bad days, as we move on, you get a, virtual verbal slap from Dan saying, what is this doing for you? You're so boo-hoo, baha, poor me. I can't believe this is happening. Well, it's happening. It's not going to go away. So what productive activities are you engaging in? What are you discussing with your family? Most families of a criminal defendant that is facing prison time, they walk on eggshells because they don't want to say anything to upset you. They already don't know how to handle it because they feel bad about what you're going through, almost like it's their fault. But you, as the potential defendant going to prison, it's your responsibility. And I'm talking to whoever's listening right now. It's your responsibility to go to your loved ones, to go to your kids and say, hey, I know that I can be emotional right now because I'm going to prison, but you didn't do this to me. If you want to ask me questions like, what the fuck was I thinking when I did this? Let's do it. Let's have every Tuesday. Let's go get pizza. And it's open ring. You ask a question and I promise I won't get upset. I may not like it. It may be tough for me, but if it's going to help you get through this as somebody that you turned into a victim of your crime, if you think you have a victimless crime, you're out of your effing mind. When I hear people say victimless crimes shouldn't go to prison, no such thing as a victimless crime. Your kids, your family, your best friend, they become victims of what you've done. When your wife said, I do at the altar, she didn't think I'm going to be left to learn how to do everything all over again. And you're going to go to prison. You're the breadwinner. You're going to leave me here. We got to sell our house. We got to move out. Kids are getting picked on in school. If you don't think that creates trauma and dramatic experiences in your friends and family's lives, you're still stuck in a selfish thought process. So part of our consulting services goes way deeper than write a good narrative or prepare for your PSR or what's your first day in prison or buy this kind of soup versus this kind of soup. We do cover those things because obviously it's important to you, but we also cover the things that's ultimately going to create the change that you say you want to do. So it's not a fit for everybody. We have clients that no matter what we tell them, no matter how much money they're paying us, they're still looking for the elevator instead of taking the stairs. And that's the mindset that got you to prison to begin with. So you've got to take a hard, cold look at your situation and what you want to do different, but are you willing to put in the work? That really becomes the question. Mic drop.
Dan, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, but I mean, I tell people all the time, when you go to prison, when you do those crimes, okay, you're bringing your family with you. They're going to their own prison. So I've worked for a nonprofit for the last 4 years, Wings for Life International, to deal with these families that you left behind. The women with their 4 kids, our husband's doing 10 years because he made a bad choice. No, that was a life decision. You put some thought into it every time you do that to your family. And a lot of guys don't have a wife and kids waiting for them when they get up. Normally your kids will still talk to you. But you got to put in the work now, like Dan said. Yeah, let them ask all the questions. You know, why did you do that to me? All that, Dan. I mean,
yeah, because if you think about like pressure, or if you think about like a pimple, you know, you've got this pimple forming on your arm, and you know it's there, whatever. Once it pops, it's like it goes everywhere. So when you're getting ready to go to prison, you're going through the process, you're not really talking to your family, you're kind of in a bummy, negative, like a woe is me kind of a mood. Your family's going through the process with you, but then you leave to go to prison. Now they're left with everything. All of that resentment that was building during that pretrial phase, it all comes to a head, and it could be over nothing. It could be you on the phone with your wife or husband saying, oh, I'm getting ready to go walk the track, and then I'm going to go do some yoga. I'm going to go to, you know, wood making class. I'm going to go to leather class. And they're like, what the fuck? You're doing all these things. Here I am.
I got a pile of bills here. What? Yeah.
Yep. And so the goal is to deal with that before the resentment builds. Start having these conversations, let them vent, or else you're going to let them vent once you're in prison and you get these 10, 15-minute phone calls that sometimes get cut off early. You're really risking destroying your relationship, destroying your marriage, because you didn't deal with it when you could have. So pre-trial, not only should you be working on your case and dealing with your attorney and doing your own investigative homework, but you should also be putting your family first and making sure that their questions, their concerns, that they're validated, because again, they didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself, and you did it to them. That's part of the accountability that we work with our clients. And the ones that take it serious, I'm telling you, they have very fruitful relationships with their family in prison. It's a different style because obviously the communication is not in person. It's either through email or messages, but every one of your fucking emails, they should all be loving and caring. If you call your wife and she doesn't answer right away, you don't follow up with an email going, where are you? You're supposed to answer the phone right now. Life doesn't stand still for the free world. They still have everything they were already dealing with, everything you left them to deal with, and they're trying now to accommodate your phone calls, because for you in prison, time stops. You're just sitting there waiting for your next phone call, waiting for your next visit, waiting for rec time. But it's also like daycare. You're told when to get up, you're told when to eat, you're told when to go outside and play, you're told when to go back to bed. As long as you follow some very basic rules, it's an easy life that's almost a getaway from your real life that your family can start to hold resentment for, because you got to be a crybaby bitch this entire time you're out on pretrial. Now you're all happy and getting in shape and you found God. That's hot. That's from cold to hot water for them. So let the process organically grow.
Yeah, you're not a victim, okay? You never have been, okay? Yeah, Dan, I'd like that we're talking about this, because it's funny to watch somebody on the phone try to run their household, and why didn't you put money on my books? And take an accountability, the responsibility. You know how you get the 2-point reduction or the 3-point reduction? You need to do that for real, okay? It's a process. It's like grieving. You go through all the stages, denial, acceptance, everything, to finally, making amends. So I always tell people that call me all the time, like, Ian, you were on the couch, 2 weeks ago because of the wife? Hug your family every single day, at least 5 times a day. I don't care if you just fought. You tell them you love them. And do that every single day. You'll know why when you get there. And Dan, I have them doing to-do lists like you give your wife every week. 10 things. Here's my to-do list. Fill it out. I'm going to do those for you. Yep. Those are little things you should have been doing the whole time, but you can start to repair. You can start to repair the damage now. If you're going to wait till you're out of prison, good luck with that. Okay.
Well, the positive mindset, it's easy to tell somebody. It's like telling somebody, don't use drugs. It's bad. Stop drinking alcohol. It's bad. Stop these horrible habits. And yes, people know they shouldn't be doing it. They know they want to change, but the problem is a lot of people don't know what change looks like. So when you talk about, just acknowledging that you have a problem, that's part of the battle. But then the actionable steps that you do, you can't just say, I'm sorry for not validating your feelings, or I'm sorry for blowing up. You've actually got to put yourself through every time you find yourself making one of these negative mistakes or awfulizing in a headspace for too long. You almost need an actual physical checklist to say, okay, here I am. Like if I ask the average person right now, whoever's watching this, if I said, how many negative thoughts do you think you have a day? And when I say negative, just, dwelling on something, my bills are due, or I got to do this tomorrow, or I've been meaning to go renew my driver's license and I keep putting it off. All of these little meaningless tasks that you put off and put off and put off, it creates this high level of anxiety in your life that you lose sleep. You start getting into fights at home about it. So when you catch yourself thinking like that, you're laying in bed going, I can't believe I'm in this situation. Okay, you're in it. You pull out your little check pad, you make a check. How long did you dwell in that negative space? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you make an actual physical note of that. And then you have some positive actions at the bottom of that little piece of paper. It's like, all right, go do some push-ups, go call Sean, go call Dan, go give your kids a hug. By doing that actionable step right beyond the identifying part of it, you now start to create these new habits that become triggering events to the point where you'll start counting how many negative thoughts you had. And by week 1, you may have had 10,000 a day. By week 20, now maybe you're down to 1,000 a day. You start to see how you control these blind spots of your mind that you're not even aware of. And that, when I say it spills over into your entire life, even into a shorter prison sentence, because now you're becoming a better person for the right reasons, not because you just want a shorter sentence. The pathway to heaven can be paved with horrible intentions. You hear all the time that the pathway to hell is paved with positive intentions, but the pathway to heaven can be paved with horrible intentions, meaning I want to get into RDAP just for the time off. Who cares? Great. At least get into it. Once you're in RDAP, the process, if you're there long enough, your reason for getting in just to get the time off, you'll eventually start seeing the changes in yourself, and you'll realize, not only am I going to maybe get a shorter sentence, but I also like who this person is a lot more now than prior. So don't worry about what your intentions are today. The whole fake it till you make it, it's a true statement. If you do something long enough, people are going to notice. You're going to start seeing things that you're capable of. You're going to start seeing that superhero that you've been looking for. And it creates this love, this joy, this excitement. You argue less, you're mad less, your kids are happier, your animals aren't cowering the fucking corner, you're not drinking as much in the bottle, you're not using drugs as much, because you're finding this spot in your life that takes work and dedication to get to. If you're not working for it, it's not worth it.
So true.
We're gonna make some sound clips out of this. This is fucking gold nuggets we're dropping right here.
60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, except 45,000 of those are negative usually. So that's an RDAP that's an RDAP lesson when you mention that, because I did that one. I forget the chapter, but RDAP is a program that you could take while you're in prison that will help you, if there is any way, to become a better person, to take accountability, to move on from the old you to a new you. I don't know if you guys are ready to do the work, though. You could just lay in prison and you could be with the guy. So I'm in line, Dan, I don't know, my second week there in Chow Hall, and there's 200, 300, 400 inmates in line, right outside. There's a new guy there, and I'm having a conversation with somebody, and he looks over at us. I go like, he goes, if you're talking to me, I'm not here to make friends. I don't want to know nobody. I'm going to do my time. I'm just going to get through this. Don't even talk to me. Leave me alone. I'm going to do my time. I'm not talking to anybody. I knew me and him were going to be best friends, and we still are. But my thing is, if you're going to have that mindset, you're going to have that mindset when you get out. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be alone. You're going to have no one to trust, no one to depend on you, no one that you could depend on. You're going to have a lonely, miserable life if you go through any part of life like that, especially prison. So get out of that mindset.
And things people can do like right now, because right now somebody's watching this video and maybe they're going, okay, he's talking about me, but I don't even know where to start. So giving people permission to give you feedback is huge, right? So if you're in a household right now, you have a friend, a family member, a wife, a husband, a child old enough, if you go up to them and say, hey, if you had to pick 5 things that you think are inherent flaws in my character, pick just 5 things. Let them give you some positive feedback. Maybe they'll say you get angry too much. Maybe they'll say you cuss too much. Maybe they'll say you don't talk enough or you don't show your feelings. Once they bring these things to your awareness, part of you is going to want to go, but you're going to want to argue it. Just shut the fuck up and let that person talk. Don't just listen to what it's, because this is their perception of you. So don't invalidate it, or else they're going to go, well, this is why I don't ever tell you, because you just make excuses. Just take it, write it down, go think about it for a minute, and then pick one thing that you're willing to try to improve. Even if it's not something that's a huge problem for you, just see if you can do it. While I was in prison, swearing for me, it's never been an issue. I will use words like I'm using them here, but I wanted to see, can I go 30 days? Because to create a new habit, it takes about 30, 40, the average person will call it 30 days of forming a new habit of doing repetitive behaviors before it becomes a habit, right? So I tried to go 30 days without cussing. It took me about 6 months to do it, because you get a day in and you forget, and you're on the basketball court and you drop the S word or F word or whatever, and you're like, damn, I got to restart. So doing that, you're giving yourself a very manageable task. It's not something ridiculous. It's something that you can probably do. And once you do it, now you start to see other areas. I tell people all the time, almost every video or phone call I have, if you're trying to change things in your life, start with something super simple. Make your bed when you wake up, do your dishes before you go to bed. Doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but just making your bed is going to create some positive endorphins that are going to take you into the next step. Now, it might wear off throughout the end of the day, but by the time you get to the end of the day, now you go make sure your kitchen's clean before you go to bed. That gives you some positive thoughts.
Your wife may thank you too.
Your wife's going to thank you.
Your wife may thank you too. Finally, he does it.
Even if you live by yourself, living in a cluttered life, dirty kitchen, messy house, you might not think it's affecting you because you're used to it, but 100% it's affecting your mental health. So clearing the mental clutter requires clearing the physical clutter. And when you start doing just little things that are simple, some people are like, oh, I want to go become a real estate investor. I want to go quit my job at the grocery store.
Write a book. I'm going to get 3 degrees in prison. Yeah,
yep.
I know.
They want to do all of these things, which is great, but you've got to pick short-term goals that you can overcome, because the short-term goals are going to lead you to the long-term goals. You can't just go and shoot and aim for that 1 star, because the minute you don't land on it, you're going to go, well, this is why I don't ever try. You're going to give yourself all the negative self-talk that you need to talk yourself out of doing the right thing. Again, people, and if you've always been doing, we'll call it the wrong thing, if you've been making these mistakes over and over and over in your life, when you start to do the right thing, people are going to be questionable. They're going to be sketchy, because they're going to go, well, how long is this going to last? I don't know. But once you get 30 days, 60 days, 6 months in, all of a sudden people forget you were ever that old person, and you forget you were that old person, and you've now developed the person that you wanted to be. So there is a roadmap for this. And this is something we work on with all of our clients. So the benefits that you get from hiring a team like ours, it's really, when I say you're getting more than you bargained for, it's so hard to put together a service contract and put all of this stuff in there, because sometimes people don't know what they need. They think they do, but they have no fucking idea.
A lot of things your lawyer's going to tell you are great for the courts, but what me and Dan and a lot of other people do is prepare in a way no lawyer possibly could. Here's, to me, this all leads up to sentencing day. To me, your sentencing day is going to be the most important day of your life. You'll never forget it. And you have one job on sentencing day. If you've taken a plea deal, because you've already guilty, you have one job. You need to convince that judge not to throw the book at you, not to give you 20 years. How do you convince somebody that? You've been on pretrial 6 months, 6 years, 2 years. I hope you worked hard for that. I mean, if you don't know, then you better call us quick. But your one job, convince that judge not to throw the book at you. Would you agree, Dan? That's your one job on sentencing day? And you build up to it with the letters and everything else. But
yeah, I think if you, like you said, all that time you had on pretrial, even if you're sitting in county jail, all that time that you had, if you utilized that time properly, you'll have no doubt in your mind that you've done what's necessary to not have the judge throw the book at you. What you don't want to do is the day before sentencing, go craft some 20-page letter where you're in freak out mode right now, you're in stress out mode, you're out of time, and you think you're going to find this magic bullet you think you're going to convey with the judge, or the judge is going to have some kind of empathy for you because, oh, you're a father. You're a father of 8 kids and you've got a sick mother, and you were the primarily breadwinner, and really this is affecting your kids more than it's affecting you. The judge has heard that song and dance a million times. The problem with a lot of white collar guys, or even just first time nonviolent offenders in general, is when they go to court, they think that the judge, because you don't hear a lot about white collar. Well, because because in the news, really what you see on the news is murderers, rapists, things like this. So you think the judge is going to compare you to, like, well, you didn't rape anybody, you didn't kill anybody, you didn't rob 6 banks. No, the judge is going to compare you to just like every other person that looks and sounds just like you, that's got the same bullshit letter, the lack of preparation. And really what the judge is going to see is, okay, you took a plea deal because you don't want to go to prison for a long time. You're saying sorry because you don't want to go to prison for a long time. But does the judge actually believe that you've made these changes? And it's very hard for a judge or a prosecutor.
I didn't violate pretrial, did everything they said, Your Honor. Go with that.
Yeah, just staying out of trouble on pretrial. I would say most of my clients, the 99% of them, they stay out of trouble. They don't pop dirty for UAs. They're not getting additional arrests, but you don't get a gold star for doing the bare minimum.
Bingo.
Going above and beyond, putting in the work. Like if you're like, we have clients that are ex-attorneys or ex-doctors. Like if you were one of our clients and you were an attorney, once you've signed your plea deal, we would help you set up a roadmap to go back to where you graduated law school from and speak to pre-law students about the mistakes that you made, how you got here. It's doing 2 things. One, it's giving back to the community, but it's also causing you to be vulnerable, talk about your situation. As you talk about it, you become much more aware of the impact that A, what you've done to your family, and B, now the impact that you have on the youth to maybe not make the same mistakes that you made and go down a different path. That eventually probably makes it back to the judge, to the prosecutor. That's the kind of stuff that they like to see, because it shows that you truly understand the impact of your crime. And you're not just saying you want to be a better person, you're doing actionable steps. Just like we talked about earlier, if you catch yourself in negative headspace, don't just say, I'm not going to do that anymore. Go do something right behind that that's proactive.
Go do it. Walk the walk, quit talking the walk.
It's going to create the new pattern that you want to be. And instead of just focusing on what can I do now to make the judge like me, if you start doing all those other things that seem pointless right now, it will automatically carry over to how is the judge going to view me now? It becomes your character. So assassinate your old fucking character, put a bullet right between his fucking eyes and watch him bleed out slowly on the ground and rebuild from the ground up. You can't just put a house on a muddy ground and expect it to last very long.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
And Dan's absolutely right, guys. You want your family back? You need to start changing inside. All this stuff. Convince the judge, convince your family wants to throw the book at you too. Here's the worst case scenario. You do all this. You volunteer here, you Boy Scouts, senior centers, you do all of your possible free time helping others to give back to the world. And the judge doesn't care and he gives you 20 years. Guess what? You are now a better human being. You are probably, you know what I mean? You can't put a price on that. I doubt you're going to get 20 years if you did all that hard work. But if you did, you get to live with yourself now. You never had that before. So it's not always about getting time off. It's about changing here. That's why I could sit here 6 years after prison and say that. I never got it when I first, how dare they? And don't they know who I think I am? I'm taking this all the way to trial. Remember that, Dan? We were Remember
And
how
that's
we used to think in the beginning?
pretty much
Boy,
every defendant has that. Every defendant has that thought, and it's okay. It's okay to have that thought. It's just, it's important. Look, even if you're not ready to make a phone call right now, the fact that you're watching this video, you're going down the right path, because sometimes it might take your first time to watch it, your second time to watch it, your third time to watch it. You get another call from your attorney and things aren't going the way you want it to go. As a man, one of our biggest roadblocks is I don't need anybody else's help to solve my own problems. And it's probably one of the biggest falsities that exists, because the way you've been doing things is what got you here right now. So sometimes, whether it's religion, Tony Robbins, RDAP, giving up your control and giving in to the process, no matter where you are, no matter what book you're reading, it all has very similar themes to it. And it's not just because they sound good, it's because they work. But you hear people like, oh, well, I went to rehab, it didn't work. I went to AA, it didn't work. A lot of times when you do this,
you didn't work.
Either you're not ready, maybe you're court ordered, but you weren't ready yet. When you truly are ready for change, those processes, then those classes, those organizations, they can be beautiful. But it doesn't work for everybody because not everybody's ready, but that's okay too. If this is your third time, if you've been to prison twice and you're like, fuck, I'm going again, maybe now you're ready to make the change. And that's all. Everybody's in a different part of their journey. There's no wrong place to be. This is why I don't hold harboring feelings towards anybody. If somebody does you wrong, your family, your best friend stole your business, realize that probably wasn't their intent the minute everything started, but something happened and they got selfish, the ego got in the way, whatever it is. But if you can find forgiveness in your heart and realize, I hope that these lessons that this person has been through with me, I hope those seeds root, and maybe they'll be better for the next person. They'll be better for the next husband or wife or their next best friend. Doesn't mean you ever have to forgive them, but forgiving somebody, you're also doing it for yourself, because you're not caring, I hate that person for what they did. Let it go, man. Go carry love, not hate. Can I make a heart?
My father died in the middle of my prison sentence, and I'll tell you, he was an asshole, child beater, wife beater, all this. But I came to terms with it. I got to say goodbye before I went to prison, but he never got to see the man I became. Don't let that happen to you, okay? If you still have time, I would have loved to him see me now. I would have been a game changer.
Well, maybe
I was a piece of shit asshole all into myself. I was a victim. Yeah, right.
Well, maybe your father does see you now, for all you know. We don't know ultimately what happens after this, but I know it's a lot better of a thought process to think there is something positive after this if you do the right thing. And it is an extra level of accountability, thinking, maybe there's nothing, maybe there is this pie in the sky where you get to go to heaven and live this awesome life after. But if you're not living any kind of, and nobody say you got to be perfect, but try to,
by far.
Your goal should be, look at what you did yesterday, ask yourself, what can I do to do a little bit better today? And then do that again tomorrow, and do it the next day, and do it the next day. Every day you will find yourself becoming a little bit better than you were the day before. You might have some setbacks. You might fall off the bike once or twice, but you just get back up and say, okay, brush it off, keep going down that path, because ultimately doing things for the right reasons, positive things happen to you. It's just, it's the nature of law. You can't, the tools like RDAP, all the tools that you get in RDAP, they're great tools. And in RDAP and prison, it's almost easier because a lot of the things are designed for you. But when you get back out into the free world, you got to get a job, find a family, make money, get a car. When things happen to you that are unforeseen, your wife breaks up with you, family dies, you lose your job, you relapse one day, that's when you do all these tools that you've been working on. That's when you have to be able to apply them when the time is tough. It's easy to do the right thing when everything is perfect. But what do you do when shit hits the wall? That's when you really get to see the grit and the grind of who you've really become. And I've had some obstacles slap me right upside the head since prison, things that I never would have imagined. Substance abuse, and the fact that I'm here today talking about it, I had to reevaluate my life again and find out what really mattered to me. Here I am living out in the West Coast with some ducks and some goats, and, getting to make podcasts, helping people. I'm going to be 47 this year. I want to live the life that I'm proud of, that my kids are proud of, that I can sleep at night. And there's good days and bad days, but if you equal more good than more bad, you're going to come out ahead.
Baby steps, guys. You can't do it all by next Tuesday, but you can start.
Yep.
And 47, that's all, Dan? You were 37 when I met you?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to be 47. It's that, look, I live somewhat, I'm telling you guys, what you put into your body, the amount of sleep you get, creating routines, these are all things that play a role into your, I eat pretty good. I drink a lot of water. I have my days, but for the most part, I get my sleep. I try not to carry negativity over. Me and Shelly, we actually have, it's on my fridge. We got a big thing on the fridge and it says walk with purpose. And part of that, like, what is your purpose for doing things? If you get into an argument and you find yourself arguing, stop the conversation and go, what's the purpose of this? Where are we going with this? This isn't helping me. It's not helping you. Right now we're angry. We're talking out the side of our head. Let's take a step back, maybe cool down for a minute, and then revisit this. If you can find the purpose in everything that you're doing, which is harder or easier said than done, but once you start working on that, and these cliches that you see, these positive affirmations, they actually work. My Chihuahua used to be terrified because I was not a violent person physically, but I had outbursts of anger, slam my hands on the table, yell something out loud, and your dogs will go cower. Once you start to witness that happening and you identify they're doing it because they're afraid of you, you got to ask yourself, do I want my dog to cower in the corner? And then you don't realize when you come home and your kids are in their bedroom, they're wondering, is my dad in a good mood or a bad mood today? Your kid should never have to wonder that. The minute you walk through that door, your kid should want to beeline it and grab your leg. If they're not, ask yourself, what are you doing to make that situation worse? Or what can you do?
Is everybody walking on eggshells around you? Do
they even notice it?
If they are, yeah. Maybe you have no clue that they are.
And maybe they have no clue because they're so used to it. Kids that grow up in these lifestyles with clutter, with these people that are like hoarders, and they live they don't even realize how mentally distracting it is until they start to see a different lifestyle. So be the person for you, be the role model for others, be the voice that you want to be tomorrow, because the voice of today is what your kids are going to learn tomorrow. So think about everything that you're saying and doing around the people that you think you care about, and you'll become less and less selfish.
My mother told me when I was 30 years old, I had been to jail, I don't know, half a dozen times. The only time she ever got a decent night's sleep was when I was in jail.
Yeah, she knew you weren't dead.
You're going to go to prison, they're going to sleep. Okay, they're going to sleep just fine, really comfortable. How's that make you feel?
Yeah. That's really all I got for today, Sean.
Yeah, I wanted to sidetrack on 80 different topics, but another time. But I did want to let you know that RDAP Dan, he really helped me. I had the letters from my lawyer, told me there's no such thing as self-surrender. Dan, he called my lawyer. And the guy was so pissed off that you don't tell a lawyer how to do their job, especially when you're right and they're wrong. But so it was a court-appointed lawyer. But anyways, I think that was funny. Dan, you've come a long way, and I still trust you. And now Dan's one of the good guys you can ask anybody who's talked to me. I've had at least 1,000 phone calls since I've been doing my channel from viewers like you. At least 1,000. How many have you had? Probably 2,000, right? 3,000.
It's up there.
Yeah.
I encourage people, if you're serious and if you're serious about wanting help, it's one thing to pick up the phone in that moment. It's another thing to click on the link that's in the description of this video and book a consultation, because what that's doing is it's making you think about what you want help with. It's showing me that you're serious about putting your thoughts onto paper. It's just like if you run a business or you're a manager and you have an employee who comes in and says, "Oh, I've got this problem." Unless it's a fire, send me an email. If they're not willing to take the time to send you an email, they're not that serious about whatever the issue is. And the reason why I say that is if you're just going to call up and say, "Oh, I'm going through something," you don't know where you're at, you're not ready to talk about it, you're kind of standoffish, you're probably not ready for that phone call yet. But if you're willing to take 5 minutes, fill out.
That's why they call me Dan, because that was the old me. Now I'm working with Dan, guys. So
Yeah, Sean's joining the team, and we're going over some processes to help Sean. Because look, we want to help everybody, but guys, we don't have unlimited bandwidth. I'm not T-Mobile. You know, my bandwidth is limited, and what that means is it's not that I don't want to give more bandwidth, but I want to be able to give my best to everybody I'm talking to. And if I just spent my day talking to 5 people that really were just talking in circles, now I get somebody that really wants to help, I'm exhausted. They're probably not getting the best me. So by creating a platform where we can kind of filter it to see how interested the client is, it's a free call. If you want a free call to really find out what you could be doing better, what might be available to you, what the next steps would be, then take the time to click on the link. And patience is a virtue, 100%. Immediate instant gratification will never get you anywhere. It's going to get you in trouble. It's going to get you divorced. You know, you're at a bar, immediate gratification of another cute, you know, opposite sex person, and you're not thinking about those negative outcomes. Next thing you know, I can't believe she left me. Well, it's probably not the first time it happened. So kick the immediate gratification out your window. Take some time, think about what you want out of a process. The worst thing is when you talk to somebody and you spend an hour with them, but they don't really know what they want. And the call's not helping them because they're going to go right back into the squirrel brain that they had before that. And then they think just anytime they want to call somebody, I'm having a bad day, let me call Sean. No, you're having a bad day.
In the morning, and you're going to run off to Pakistan. That's what the last one was.
Yep.
You really? Yeah. How's that working for you? Because that's where he's from right now.
You know, I want to help you, but you got to help yourself first, or else my help is worthless.
So I get a call 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Book a conference. You know what? Do the right thing. Help yourself. Help your family, or just sit there with your ideas, because that's what got you going to prison in the first place, wasn't it? You need to take a look at yourself. You get past the victim. Me, I was a piece of shit. Okay, I can say that now. I'm not telling you to do that, but go through the process. Okay. Now all of a sudden you care about your 80-year-old grandmother. You didn't think about that when you were changing the 4 to a 3 and mailing out all those hundreds of letters, hoping the government was going to pay you something on money you didn't deserve. All that kind of stuff. This it counts. It counts now. It's real. Okay. So cry, bitch, be the victim, take it out on your family, or do the right thing. Okay. Give us a call. Start there.
Well said.
I guess I've gotten tough, Dan. You know,
progress.
Yeah, progress, not perfection. 10 years in the making. But this man, Dan, you were a big part of my wake up on pretrial. You know, I fucked up pretty bad on pretrial, and yet I didn't violate.
Well, you got to give yourself some credit. We may have winded the screw in your back, Sean, but like I told you, I talked to a lot of people that say they're going to do stuff like this, and you know, I would say less than 1% actually does it in the end. So I thank you for all of the pats on the back, but you had to make the conscious decision to walk the walk and put in the work, or else, you know, anybody can say they're going to go do it. That's why at sentencing, everybody tells the judge, well, when I get out, I'm going to do this, do this. You've got all this time before sentencing. Show the judge. So by the time you get there, say, look what I've done since. These indictments from indictment to sentencing, I've got clients, sometimes it's a year longer, 3 years. That is some time.
4 years for me, guys.
Yeah.
So that's the average now.
Use that time wisely. You can't show up to court and say, I'm going to do all these things. The judge is going to go, you've had 4 years and you're still fucking unemployed. You know, so just remember, there's nothing special, nothing unique about your situation. It's just like everybody else's, but you can make it special and unique by putting in the work above and beyond, doing things that are unorthodox. And sometimes, and you might be wanting to do all of those things, you just don't know where to start. Well, where to start is that free consultation in this booking, because that can be the process, the key to change that opens up many other doors behind it. But with that said, I'm going to let Sean wrap up. I'm RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people up and people, communities method, one day at a time. I hope we hear from you. And Sean, it's your show.
I wanted to say one thing real quick. I forgot. You know why I really wanted to do this YouTube channel? Because you had one and I wanted to follow in your steps. But you used to do a thing while I was on pretrial. And all the other people that were on pretrial will come in the chat room. Remember? And sometimes you have us on as a guest. And the guy Todd, and we were all going through the same. Oh, he's turned himself in 2 weeks. and we got to know each other. You remember all that? It was like an intervention group. Maybe we could start that up again, Dan. Because everybody on pretrial, I mean, the room was, I couldn't wait for Thursday nights or whatever night it was, you know, it was 2 or 3 nights a week.
Yeah, we were
going through. It was like a pretrial anonymous meeting, you know.
We were doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays for a long time. We are trying to get back to that. And we just did an interview a couple of days ago with a gentleman named Daniel, who said he actually did the video the day before he self-surrendered. We don't do those. Look, do we do those videos for views? Absolutely. Do I do it because it monetizes and people watch them? Absolutely. But there's a reason why those videos get more views, because the person going through this, look, you only want to hear my story so many times. Oh, Dan went to prison with a costume on. Yeah, I've heard that before, Dan. But getting to see other people that are going through the process, just like you, that are in the similar stages to you, that clings you to the TV, because you want to see what are they doing that maybe I can also be working on. So it's to create, when you hear me say communities method, people helping people, that's not just some dumb statement. That's a statement that has meaning to me, because by gathering the community and learning from each other, everybody's at a different phase. And if you're brand new to this and you're looking for the roadmap, well, the guy that's 6 weeks ahead of you, he's not light years ahead of you, he's 6 weeks. But if you're like, man, that guy's only been doing this for 6 weeks longer than me, and look how content he is, I want to get to that point where I can sleep at night. That's the point of the interviews. And you'll notice all of our interviews are focused on positive mindset. We're not beating. We could sit here all day and tell you how bad the BOP is and how fair things are and how fucked up the government is. We already know that. But the only reason the government's up your ass and sniffing your life right now is because you let the door crack open. Once you focus on that and you forget about the rest, that's the accountability that can set you free. That's why we interview these people that get that. So I encourage you, if you're in a process and you want to come on our channel and you want to share your story, as long as you can do it from a positive perspective, I would love to interview you and have you on my channel. Just like that's why I do this with Sean.
Me as well. I have people before prison, and then they come on after they get out. And anybody who calls me after they got out, it's not because they want to bitch and moan and scream. It's because they felt like a psychic change, and it's wow. And it's over that fast, guys. Even if you got 10 years you're facing, your life's not over. Your life's not over. You're writing your book. You're writing the story. You're the producer, the writer, the actor, the screenplay, the cameraman. It's all you. You've had your whole life to do that, but now you're in the spotlight because your family, your loved ones. Anyways, I know I can preach all day. I'll shut up.
Did you see my hoodie?
Yeah. The branded felon.
And you see what it says on the bottom?
You wouldn't know it if we didn't tell you.
That's the goal, guys. When you get out of prison, don't let prison control your narrative. People would not know I'm a felon if I didn't tell them. And I don't walk around with, a bad attitude. I live my life for all. There's no difference between me and the guy that's never been to prison before.
Not a one tattoo here.
Yeah. And that's the goal. So this hoodie, I make these myself, not myself. I get them made because it's a reminder to me. I don't mind showcasing where I've been, but I want others to be able to, because we're so quick to judge each other and say, oh, I would never be friends with a felon. Well, I bet you're friends with a felon and you don't even know it. So that's the goal, guys. So if you want a hoodie, let me know. We don't sell them, but I would.
Yeah,
Sean,
I'm going to do another show about hiring felons as employees, and you'd be surprised how many the mindset is already changing out there. But yeah, my next goal is with another story. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, audience. See you on the next video. Like, subscribe, and call Dan.
Peace.
Thanks, Dan. We hit the end stream.